Going to hear from a local business owner who could tell you a thing or two about the difference between indica and sativa. Morgan Hutchinson, come on down, Morgan.
I think that Lori did a good enough job, right? I mean, I think that was like covered already tonight. I'm gonna lower this a little bit. So I want to thank Tod Marshall for the workshop earlier. The whole prompt about place brought me to a place that I really needed to be, and that I needed to revisit desperately. So I'm going to revisit it again. I'm not going to read what I wrote in the course, but I did go next door and write this. So that's what I'd like to share with you. It's called fermentation. Fermentation. Succinct replication, reliance, respiratory defiance, store shoring, showing soars, more roaming, steady loam. I am beneath the ground and beneath the being, above the lounge, luring in, fermenting the thought of you, the idea of yourself and mine. Lining pockets, stocking sockets of energy, of synergy, of being close to something you believe in. Something you can deliver and never imagine and always love. Stove thinking, preheat the oven, preheat the bed, preheat my pulse. Preheat my sleep, preheat my dreams, sleep next to me, sleep in me, sleep next to me, sleep in me, sleep, sleep, sleep. Ferment with me, ferment for me, fermentation of the linking, dripping dreams of reality, seeming to connect me to another route, rough rights, rough pressure of time and deadlines and mirrors, stirring us all toward a kinder distance, a minor persistence, pursuant of presence of people, of storing this energy that can't surface, that simply exists in a cryptic emotion, an alternate type of galaxy, an alternate reoccurring right. I want to move, over and up, and maybe to the left a little, and maybe to the side a little, maybe next to you a little, maybe near the stars a little, maybe near the trees a little, maybe, just maybe, you'll understand. Trying stands, strand stretching, smaller malls, more smoke, I'm stretching, more loss, he's leaning, she's touring, she's finished, he's eating, she's thinking always, she's meaning always, to communicate the fermentation, to order the ferment of fever, of never, of needing him, of believing in them, together in a town that is very sane, very tame, very sane, too much, need a touch of crazy, need a touch of lazy, need a touch of you, need a touch of new, to ferment always. Thank you.
Thanks, Morgan. Okay, so we're going to make the following announcement for the benefit of our guest. We're going to hear from one more open mic reader before we hear from our feature, and that open mic reader is Nathan Tompkins.
A couple months ago, my nephew was born, and so I wrote this poem for my mom for Mother's Day, and put it in a card. Actually made a card that did not depict me in a diaper this time. Yeah, for anybody who's seen it on my Facebook, yeah, it's kind of scary, but anyway. It's called The Grandmother's Echo. It's a pleasure to watch the smile stretch like azalea petals along her face when she sings to him, her voice a light raindrop ricochet across his ears, so that others might not hear the notes carried in their private conversations. As she swings her arms, not side by side, but up and down, every time her forearms swivel up, a light mouth traces a kiss squeezed against his forehead. And then she swings it down to the tip of her knees and laughs as his face muscles twist, weave a vast toothless smile, an echoed image of her own. I wrote this for my friend Nana. The St. John's booksellers will always have a big place in my heart because, like Ghost Town, it saw me, was very instrumental in me becoming the writer I am today, and it will definitely be instrumental in the writer that I will be tomorrow. And sadly, she closed her doors back in January and helped pack things up. It's called A Drink to Dying Bookstores. Just outside the window, life continues. People stop, laugh, eat, and drink. Drivers curse at the sludge of Friday night rush hour traffic. And sometimes they stop in, buy a book or a shelf, give their sympathies, eulogize the shop. But everyone loves the bookstore when it closes. Packing up a dying bookshop's belongings is like packing a loved one's things, random memories wrapped in cardboard, lost in the back of a storage shed. So tonight, with the heavy glass of whiskey, I drink to the shop as she sleeps on her hospice bed, and the seconds between her breaths stretch towards the next minute hand, and her cold fingers reach for death as he stands at her feet. This is one back from about one of my visits back home. Go back home, my grandpa, always takes me for a drive and he tells me stories, and sometimes I fall asleep, sometimes I manage to stay awake. But anyway, this is the story that he told me. Grandpa tells me as we drive the snow-brushed back roads of North Idaho how he took my mother on a drive along the same unpainted asphalt paths the night before she married her first husband, so he could explain to her it wasn't too late to back out, that it would be okay and even preferable for her to call it off, better to give the marriage an abortion than to shove paper vows in a shredder to erase her name from the pledge. And she felt she owed it to the mystery man, the man I have only met once on a visitation in Portland when I was 6. And so she spoke the words before the Mormon bishop placed her future on the contract line down the line. And if she hadn't, he would never have donated his sperm, his genes. I would never have been thrust screaming into this world in a hospital by the Kootenai. And sometimes I think that would have been okay. Right. I got one more. Sylvia was a woman I knew many years ago. She was a fantastic writer, and she was in one of my writing classes there at PCC. She wrote a lot of poems about her son, and they were just, wow. But anyway, she was wearing his socks that afternoon when we sat outside the classroom. Her long green hair partially covering one lens of her glasses, and then she smiled with her mouth through the sorrow lines engraved beneath her eyes. And she told me how when her son was 16, she brought home a tomato plant and put it in his room, cared and watered it carefully. She didn't think anything of it until her policeman husband told her the truth, and they made him get rid of it. And then she found out he planted it in the woods behind their house, and she laughed, said she would see him disappear in the trees from time to time and come back stoned. And she wore his socks. She told me how years later she would buy it for him and his girlfriend to ease the pain, the suffering, to help them keep the food down their throats as the pharmaceutical cocktails poison their bodies, chemical leeches trying to keep breath in their lungs, life in their AIDS-emaciated faces. but she wrapped her feet with the socks before inserting them in the black tenny runners, and she lifted one leg of her light blue jeans and showed them to me, as she told me she likes to wear his socks on Jewish holidays. Curl up in an easy chair and sometimes his bed with a book and a cup of rum-laced tea, and she felt close to him then, and the touch of a spirit that still infused his clothing, the faint traces of a scent that still remained, gave her a comfort she lacked from God. Thank you.